Okay, so you are able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So traditional SDLC models are waterfall model, V model, spiral model, I would say prototype model. So there are much more model to this, like there are other models also, but these are like the most frequent done models. So the others one are not so famous. So that's why we are considering all these four right now. Okay. And there is like agile way of doing the project. So like sorry, there are like modern models or modern SDLC model. So in which your comes agile. So agile is basically a frame or a framework. Okay. So agile model, and then I would say iterative model. Iterative is like again like where you have very frequent releases. So those are like iterative models. Okay. So we'll see first like traditional models, and then we'll come back to agile model. So why we are doing traditional? Why we used to do traditional model? Because in the past we had very like limited accessibility to kind of latest technology and latest I would say like client also was not so much available and not so much involved. So we used to kind of take a work, and then we used to say like how much work is there, and for this much work we are going to take this much time and this much duration. For an example, like if you say like can you construct an house for me? So how it used to be, okay, you want a 2 BHK or a 3 BHK. Okay, you want 2 BHK, and like do you want like how big the room should be? Like you gave me a detail, then okay, like you want only ground floor, you said yes. So I collected all the requirement at one go. Then I will say like I will take like for an example 200K for building this house. And then if you say yes and that works out, or you bargain or whatever, this works out. Once it is like working out in the sense okay, once it is like working out, then like what you will say, like he will say okay, go ahead, and 200K is what you are charging, and you told you will complete that in 1 year. So 1 year he will kind of like do not bother about this, because like you are not going to anyway show anything before like 1 year, and you will be continuously working to show that the progress in 1 year, and after the end of the 1 year you will be releasing, or if there is any change or any problem, then everything that you will be able to figure out and tell me at the end of 1 year. By then like the whole 1 year has been passed, and now that if you are bringing problem, then totally like I'm screwed as a customer, because like I don't have any other choice, and I already spent money, and then I already spent like a time for this, and now that you are coming and telling something, then I have no other choice than either to drop or continue by paying more or something kind of that, right? So we used to do this kind of projects because like every project used to go this model, because this was the like most occupied model. But right now what happens is, like for an example, let's say the same house construction, you will kind of tell that okay, can we not go by like let's say the whole house construction, you kind of construct the uh, like let's say for me the smallest room, let's say like you first construct the bedroom for me. Okay, and then look at like let's see how soon or how fast we can do the bedroom part, and based on that we will decide like then which room to be taken, because I need this place urgently and I need to move in, and because I need to move in. Okay, there are background noises, can you, if you can mute, that would be great. So for an example, I wanted to move in, and if I wanted to move in, then I definitely need to know that how soon you will be able to complete the bedroom, and then I would need a washroom and a kitchen for me minimum, which is requirement for me to move in. Then your highest priority will come by my requirement, because you need to kind of like complete the bedroom, washroom, and kitchen. as priority item to kind of complete and then focus on the other room. And I will be continuously visiting as a client and giving you my feedback, what is working, what is not working, what needs change and what needs improvement. So that way what happens at the end, whatever the house I'm getting, I'm not surprised by that or I'm not complaining by that because I was seeing this and I was involved. I saw while it was like you were bringing it up. So I have a complete idea of it. So it's not new to me. So that way, like the complaining part goes down first thing and the client engagement. So client is more satisfied. And as I'm coming, seeing, visiting your things on a regular basis. So any change comes as part of it, I can tell you like easily and on time. And the changes would be easier to implement rather like if I tell you that lot longer in the process then it is difficult even for you to kind of follow and get that. But like if I tell you like the change is quicker in the process and while you are doing it, then it is easier to adapt. Are you able to make sense? Both of you, can you understand?
Yeah, a bit. I mean, not everything, but
What is that you are not understanding? Like what is most important thing or what is that you are not able to relate?
Get it, but now just now you told something that you will be able to monitor everything and the complaining will be less, and as you are like expectations you can see that at the end of the result. But that comes under modern as a SDLC model, or you are talking about traditional only?
No, no. Traditionally, we used not to involve customer. You told me that I will
Okay.
complete this in 1 year. I'll not engage the customer. At the end of 1 year only, I'll come and show him that what I have done as a product,
Okay.
and the product that is like will come in 1 year only. Okay.
Okay.
But in so okay, let me tell. Like in the traditional approach, we take all the requirement at one go. Every requirement that we need to complete, we will ask them upfront. Okay, what all you need? Can you tell me what all you need? Then based on that, we will do calculation. Okay, all this for like five different feature you told me for an example to complete. For this five different feature, what is that I need information? So I will ask all the information one time only. And once I get the information, I will say, okay, I will take for an example 200K for this, and I will be needing 1 year. So that means like you will need 1 year and then like you need 200K to complete. So the timeline is fixed. The money is also fixed because you agreed to do this much only. So the timeline is fixed and the money is fixed. And then the scope is also fixed. How much to be done in how much time plus like how how much cost. It's all are fixed.
So the exactly opposite comes under modern SDLC, right?
Yeah, opposite in the sense, yes, this used to be the traditional way, which all the waterfall, V model, and spiral used to use most of the time. But what happened is now because you are taking every requirement at once, what if like the client gave one requirement and that like he kind of changed his mind or he wanted to bring some change? He has no scope if he comes back.
Voice is not clear.
Okay, how about now? Is it all right? Is it all
Yeah, yeah, now it is okay.
Okay. So now that like because you were like you gave that this much requirement you will be completing for this time. For an example, if there is any change came, then the client is
Mm-hmm.
totally screwed because you'll say no no you did not tell me this before you only told me this so I will only complete this. If you have any change, they will see next time and then next time I'll take all the change and then I will do that time. But this time I have already agreed, right? So you used to discard
Yeah.
any change request. So similarly, if for
Okay.
example the client wanted to kind of give any feedback, like he wanted to see really what is going on, and then he wanted to give the feedback so that like you will everything is coming up in his style or his choice. Okay, so in that case there was very less scope because you used not to involve client at least because every here in traditional approach all the 6 stages, if you remember all the 6 stages that we discussed, will be done one by one. So requirement all will be gathered. Then only you will go to your analysis. All 100% analysis.
Analysis.
Yeah, the all 100% analysis will be done. Then only you will go to your design. All
Design.
design 100% done. Then only you will go to development. So what happened in that case? If your client comes back to see, then you are in the analysis stage. There is nothing that you can show to the client because physically there is nothing that has been built, right? So it's basically you are
Yeah.
working on it. It's work in progress, but there is physically you cannot show anything because there is nothing physically that has been built. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so in this case, like let's say that what happened in like agile approach, agile is like smaller things at a time. Okay, you don't tell me that the whole house how much time you'll need, but you tell me for one bedroom I will need maybe like let's say 2 months. Then first I will complete the bedroom, and then based on that, like I will tell like I need a kitchen. Then after is my kitchen is my priority. Then you will do and start working on the kitchen. And kitchen you will take 1 more month, and then you will say like the second bedroom I'll work. Then you will take the second bedroom and work. So that you will take maybe like in 1 more month. So it is not all together you are taking all requirement and trying to complete, but rather it's an ongoing. It's like pay as you go model. Okay, if you need one bedroom, you pay for one bedroom. But if you need two bedrooms, then like I will complete one bedroom and then I'll go to next one. That time we'll see. Okay. And if you need third bedroom, yes, we can go ahead. But like for third bedroom, this is the scope and this is the cost. It's a pay as you go model. It's not like exactly the best example will be for an example when you are paying for the channels. Okay. So when you are paying for the channels, let's say there are 2,000 channels and they are charging you $200. Okay. For the subscription, let's say Comcast is charging like your $200. Okay. Are you guys hearing me right?
Yes.
Okay. So now you, what do you say? You definitely never was watch 2,000 channels because yeah, that's not possible, and you don't watch it. Okay. So you'll say, why would I pay for a 2,000 channels when I'm not like even watching? So what is the agency or the Comcast did is now per channel you have to pay $10. Okay, respective how many channels you are using. So what you will do? You'll whatever channels you are using. Let's say you are watching 5 channels, you have to only pay $50 instead of $200 because it's like whatever is used and whatever you are working, you're only paying for that. Okay, your estimation comes to only that. Okay, so that way like you are cutting down from like overall as in like every requirement together you need to have all the requirement at one go to like having requirement as you go in the sense first you are working on something then you have detailed requirement of that thing only, and then once you complete you can move on to the second thing and you will have only information and item about the second thing and you can continue. So it is like one thing at a time, whatever most important thing you need to do first. Once you do, then you can go to the second priority item and complete. And the requirement also comes into phases, doesn't come all together at once. Okay, so that any change comes because the requirement comes as an ongoing process. So anything that comes as a change, the client will have more access and he can adapt and implement changes faster in this case. Are you able to relate?
Yeah, I get it now.
Okay. Okay, now looking at the most important why the reason that we are moving away, and let me tell you
And
clearly.
agile and iterative are both like the same.
Almost like not exactly the same. Iterative means multiple releases. Okay, you don't do one release with everything together. 1 year you gave, and not everything that you are releasing in 1 year. But you can every month you can give a release, and every month you are giving some output. Okay,
Okay.
okay, let me show you.
What about this waterfall, V model, and spiral and prototypes?
These are all traditional. All of them are like happens that I will come to individual models so that you understand. So most
Okay.
important. reasons why we are going away is first thing is to adapt change, so change request. Okay. Then to kind of like get the feedback faster, because smaller releases you get the feedback and you can self correct in case like the client wants some change. The feedback is faster.
So this
Work,
is all about the benefits that we get from if we change from traditional to modern, right?
yes. Then we
Okay.
have, yeah, so then we have kind of like faster feedback, and then we have deliver what is most important. So just because you have taken everything together, you are not working, which is not necessary for this time. Like client want this much, or this is what is important. For an example, now Verizon like released 5G, and AT&T might have 50 different products, but AT&T also wanted to release 5G importantly or urgently to the market just to give a stiff competition and do not fall back in the market. So that is what is most important. Then you do developing some other part of it will not make sense unless
Your voice broke when you were explaining about AT&T. You said Verizon introduced 5G, and then what did AT&T do?
Verizon released 5G. Okay, because now Verizon Fire released 5G. Now if AT&T kind of doesn't release that 5G, okay, then AT&T will lose its customer to Verizon. Okay, so it's most important at this point that AT&T also releases 5G. So that is most important factor now. Okay,
Okay.
in this case, like in Agile, if you're working that same model in Agile, then you will first work on what is more important. So more important at this point is your um, releasing of 5G than anything else. Okay, so the release comes like on highest priority than anything else. So you in Agile always prioritize in out of all the work that is pending to be done. Every time you like you as a team will prioritize and see what is most important and first work on what is most important. Okay, so it is like a value delivery part. So you work on and deliver what is most important to you. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes.
And then like it is the other reason is like frequent releases which will give frequent feedback, and frequent releases will also give the client advantage to kind of use that item. For an example, you needed 5G, I kind of like worked on the 5G and I get delivered you 5G. It means like you don't have to wait for 1 year. If it would have been a traditional model to work on the 5G, you can immediately start working on 5G. Okay, so that's the whole point. Immediately you get to work on something, and because it's a frequently release, so that portion of work you can immediately start using it. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. So these are the most important reasons. Now we'll see what is waterfall, what is V model, what is spiral, and what is prototype. Then we'll see about agile and we'll compare like how is it different. Now let me show you waterfall. Okay. So this model is waterfall. If you see, the whole look and feel is comes like a waterfall. If you like push water or like you kind of have the water flow from the top to bottom. From the top, if you start flowing water, this water will flow one step at a time. So one stage will be crossed at a time, and then it will fall into the next, and it cannot be reversed out. You cannot go back from one step to the previous step because it's water flowing down and it always flows down. It has to be one step like from there and up. Now, if you say all the 6 stages that we discussed, they are all the 6 stages here. Okay, all the 6 stages are here. Only thing is here, first all the requirement, 100% of the requirement has to be captured, gathered. Then like you can go to your analysis or specification is like your analysis stage. Then once 100% analysis is done, Then you can go to your design stage. Okay, once like 100% design goes, you go to the your implementation stage or whatever, like your coding stage. And once 100% coding done, then only you go to your other stage. So here each stage has to be 100% completed for you to kind of move to the next stage. Okay, the stages has to be 100% completed before you move to the next stage. Okay, now, so all the for this type of model to implement, your client should also know all the requirements. For an example, you are building a software for yourself. Okay, let's say you are building the software and you are doing it for an example e-commerce application. Then in this case, in waterfallish way, you should know all the requirement that you want in your e-commerce, plus all the product type, all the payment gateway, all the details, everything you should be aware and should have knowledge for you to follow this model. Because if you don't have knowledge on all the requirements, then they will not come back and redo it. Because it's once they, based on your scope or based on your work, they'll give you time and they will give you price and they will work on that only. Am I making sense?
So you're telling that client also should know everything, right?
Everything, yes. But to implement this
Yes.
model, client should have all the requirements clear. He cannot come back in the middle and ask some requirement. He cannot come back and say that this has to be changed, that has to be changed. Okay, this is a fixed scope model where your scope, what is that is part of your scope, is been defined, is been like solid. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, now in this case again, analysis at all the project level, whatever needed to be discussed, whatever analysis has to be done at once. You cannot say that okay, now I did like 2 requirement analysis and I understood that this is going to work like this, but the other 3 I did not do, so I don't know what will come or what will not. You cannot say that, because all the analysis also has to be done at one go. Okay, understanding?
Yes.
Okay. Now the third
Yes.
one is basically design. So all the project level, at one project level, every design has to be done once for you to kind of do the design, right? So it has to be done once. So the design has to be also coming at once. In the coding also they will do once, and then they'll release for testing. So this model is not a like this model is like this, so which we call waterfall. The reason, because it gives us a view of an waterfall, or we get the view of an how a waterfall will work by looking at this. And here every stage has to be crossed 100% for you to fall into the next stage. Okay, for you to fall into the next stage, every stage has to be covered and clear. And once every stage has been covered, you cannot come back and redo the stage, because water falls always down. So the concept is like it you have to move from one stage to the next stage only. For anything to you found that you want to come and fix it, you have very less scope to fix it. Not like you don't fix it, but you have very less scope to fix it. Okay. So the benefit of waterfall. Give me a second. Let me show you. So the strengths of waterfall is it's easy to understand, because everything about the scope is predefined. You know what to do in the project, because everything you need to be doing in the project is like predefined itself. And it's a good structure to work, because there is no change coming, nothing coming. You agreed one thing and you are only doing that thing. So there is no change comes. So it's very easy to work. And then the requirement is one of the stable, because all the requirement 100% the client has to tell you before you start this project, because it has to be 100% explained and done before you start the project. Okay, and the quality is much more important, because the scope is very defined and there is no change that is coming as part of scope. You guys, if you get log out, or just sign back in, or like click on the same link again. Okay, so as part of this project, like if everything comes because at one go, so you know everything about it, so the quality will not be compromised because you know what to bring and what not to bring. So based on that, you will from the day one you will work on what is necessary for the project only. So the quality will be intact. Every project has some positive and some negative. So every project, every kind of model has some pros and some cons. So for this project, like what are the weaknesses? Less optimized, because if one team, the requirement gathering team is working, then they have to complete 100% for you to kind of move to the next stage. So you, if for an example, you are like an architect, you are sitting idle, you have nothing to do because the previous team has not completed the work. You're a developer, you have no idea, nothing that you are doing, nothing that you are doing unless like there are three stages that has been completed. So if there isn't people hired, especially if you think that the contract people, for a contract people, if they are hiring, then like they will not sit you just idle just because like you haven't started the project. So this is like not a very optimized process, or this is not a very ideal process when in terms of like resources it comes, and you have to view that how effectively you are utilizing resources. Okay, am I making sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now the other thing is requirement should be known, not that every client will know the 100% requirement will be done. So you have to kind of understand the requirement, and the client has to explain you the requirement, everything, um, from the beginning of the time. So they cannot come back anything and rest of the thing like as a modification, clarification. You get a false impression of the project, because if you're outside the project and then you are trying to achieve this, so then like you're a client, then you don't have clear understanding on how much you have gone, because you don't have clarity, because you're not been involved into the process. So you always have you get a false impression about the project because you don't have clarity into that yet. So that will be like a false impression. Okay, integration, because in anything that comes as a change request or anything that needed to be changed in the process, then it is very difficult to go back and do that again, as because it is like waterfallish in the sense one step done, then only you moved, and then by the time you are starting, the previous batch would have left the project because their work is completely 100% done. No need to keep them paying or keep them in the project because their work is 100% done. So when you're trying to go back and do some changes, very difficult, because those people would have left the project by now, and they would have like in some other project. It's very difficult to kind of like now to do the changes. Clear? Are you both making sense?
Yes.
Okay. So there are some background noise. Can you, if you can mute your, you can unmute and ask. Okay. So it is not in a very problem solving nature, because like if anything comes as a problem, then you kind of like always resist and tell the client that okay, we'll see what is the problem in the next release, next part, because whatever you told like we have done, and now there is some problem coming. So you are not trying to solve the problem by adapting change, by implementing some new requirement or new changes, or kind of readjusting what is most important for your client, but rather you are going by scope and you're saying like I agree to do this, then I'm only doing this. Okay, so that part, like one of the thing is important. So when we use this model as an waterfall model, when the all the requirements are known to the client, okay, and all the requirements are solid in terms of they are not going to change, they are like exactly how it is, and the quality is important, yet like you don't want to bring some changes, you don't want to implement a lot of changes in that. And then like technology, whatever you are trying to implement, you are not going back and forth checking, experimenting, how's it working, how it is doing, but rather continuously working on it to kind of improve the quality and technology. Okay, so generally we do this waterfall implementation mostly when we have an upgrade project, like for an example, there was an existing project or there was something which is already there and we are trying to upgrade that. For an example, you have WhatsApp. Now, WhatsApp, you have already everything about WhatsApp, you know. There is messaging, calling, sending information, typing, and whatever. You know all the information, but now that you wanted to do certain changes or like you want to upgrade the current version. So because all the requirements well known and beforehand known, you can go ahead with waterfall because your requirement is predefined and you know the requirement, you know what are the problems already you studied, change request came, you adapted. So it is like generally done for like upgrade of your own project. Yeah.
Yes.
So the prototype model is generally, I will show you what is prototype model. So they will ask you like what kind of models did you work in your life or in your SDLC, what are the models that you have. So you can tell like combination of traditional plus agile. So you can say like I did work on waterfall or let's say prototype model before and now that I'm working in kind of agile model. So this is the prototype model. You see this example. First you get a requirement. A prototype, what does a prototype mean? Anyone? What does prototype mean?
Like uh, uh, like basically an example of the person needs, right? A working example.
No, prototype means sample.
Yep.
So prototype you're creating means you're creating a sample for it. Right? So prototype model is when there is a client who has a lot of requirement and who has detailed requirement. And the first time the client is doing an IT project for an example and he has no background, no idea about it. And he wanted to create something and then he's like hesitant about it. Okay. And he wanted to implement a project. In that case, you do prototype because prototype will be like if you go to the mall, right, and they give you kind of a free beauty makeover. Maybe they are launching a new beauty product. They will make you sit 45 minutes or 40 minutes or 30 minutes, and they will complete the whole beauty makeover. And they will ask you to see the mirror and kind of judge. The whole point of it is like it's a prototype model because they are doing a sample on you and they are showing like how it works for you, and if you find it relevant, you kind of like take it forward. From there you buy that product. And somebody when they are putting effort for making something free and then some by spending some time and effort on you, then you definitely feel obligated, kind of obligated to kind of like do that because like you like it's a human tendency that you feel obligated for somebody who has put an effort and time for you. Exactly, this is same for the clients who are doing first time IT project, have no background, are very hesitant to do the IT project, and they will have a requirement. In that case, like for you, for them to kind of win the confidence on you that you can do their project, it is necessary that you can create some sample of item, and so and the sample of item can happen by something that you have done in the past and from modify to something that you have done as an similar kind of application for one of your clients. So you can modify the data. You cannot show the exact data. You can modify the data and create a sample based of like your what something you have done, and then you are uh, kind of like you're sending that or showing that to the client, one thing, or like you understood the requirement and it is something new requirement you are getting for the first time. So you can create a smaller part of the requirement, not all the requirement you develop, because so the requirement might take like years to kind of complete. So not all the requirement you do, but a smaller portion of it we kind of develop and show it to the client. And if he sees that we are putting effort and the effort is going positive, we're able to do it, he or she will definitely give the project to us. Okay. So this is like we are creating a prototype for the client and we are trying to win the confidence of the client.